The wind hit like a wall of ice. 1 minute, the sky was clear enough to see for miles. The next, everything turned white. Emily Chen checked her watch. 3:30 in the afternoon, and it looked like midnight. She'd been guiding people through these mountains for 6 years, and she knew when to trust her gut. Right now, her gut was screaming at her to find shelter. She pulled her hood tighter and scanned the rocky landscape. There was a cliff face about 50 yards ahead where she could wait out the worst of it. These sudden storms usually passed within a few hours. Nothing to panic about, just nature doing its thing. But then she heard it. A voice, faint and desperate, cutting through the howling wind. "Help! Somebody help me!" Emily froze. Her training kicked in immediately. She pulled out her radio, but the storm was already interfering with the signal. Nothing but static. She tried her satellite phone next and got a weak connection long enough to ping her location to base camp before the signal died completely. The voice came again, closer this time. "Please, I'm stuck." She followed the sound, moving carefully over rocks that were already getting slippery with fresh snow. The visibility was getting worse by the second. She could barely see 10 feet in front of her. "Keep shouting," she called out. "I'm coming to you. Over here!" "Please, I can't feel my leg." Emily found him wedged between 2 large boulders at the base of a small cliff. A man, maybe in his 30s, wearing gear that probably cost more than her truck. His face was pale, lips starting to turn blue. One of his legs was trapped under a rock that must have come loose in a slide. "Okay, I've got you," Emily said, dropping to her knees beside him. "My name's Emily. I'm a wilderness EMT. Can you tell me your name?" "James," he managed through chattering teeth. "James, I think I really messed up. You picked a bad day for a hike, that's for sure." Emily was already assessing the situation. The rock on his leg wasn't huge, but it was big enough. His expensive jacket was torn, and she could see he was already hypothermic. His hands were shaking, and not just from cold. Shock was setting in. "How long have you been out here?" she asked, pulling emergency supplies from her pack. "I don't know. Maybe an hour. The storm came out of nowhere. They do that up here." Emily carefully felt around his trapped leg. He winced but didn't cry out. "Good sign. Can you feel this?" "Yeah, it hurts like hell. Also a good sign. Means we don't have nerve damage." She looked at the rock, then at the angle of the cliff above them. Moving it wrong could bring more down. "Listen, James, I can get you out of this, but we need to do it smart. And then we need to get warm fast. You're hypothermic." "I'm fine," he said, which was exactly what hypothermic people always said. "You're really not." Emily pulled out her thermal blanket and wrapped it around his shoulders. "But you will be. First, we're going to move this rock. On 3, I'm going to lift, and you're going to pull your leg out. Don't try to help me lift. Just focus on getting free, ready?" He nodded, and she could see he was trying to be brave. She positioned herself, found good leverage, and counted. 1, 2, 3. The rock shifted. James pulled. For a horrible second, Emily thought more rocks would come down, but the cliff held. James was free. "Got it," he gasped. Emily immediately checked his leg. Definitely bruised. Possibly fractured, but nothing was sticking out where it shouldn't be. She'd seen worse. "Much worse. Can you stand?" "I think so." He couldn't. The moment he tried to put weight on it, his leg buckled. Emily caught him before he went down. "Okay, new plan. We're not going anywhere in this storm anyway." She looked around. The boulder field would have to do. "We're going to build a shelter right here and wait it out. Help's probably already on the way, but they can't fly in this mess. We might be here for a while." "I'm sorry," James said. "I should have checked the weather." "Yeah, you should have." Emily was already pulling out her emergency bivvy and looking for the best spot to set up. "But beating yourself up about it won't keep us warm. Come on, let's get you out of this wind." She found a space between the boulders that formed a natural windbreak. Not perfect, but it would do. She helped James shuffle over, trying not to think about how cold her own fingers were getting. Her gloves were good, but not that good. Setting up an emergency shelter in a blizzard while dealing with an injured person was not how she'd planned to spend her afternoon. She'd been doing a solo training hike, testing out some new routes for the tourist season. Now here she was, playing mother hen to a guy who'd clearly bitten off more than he could chew. "So what brings you out here alone?" she asked as she worked. "Keep him talking. Keep him conscious." Basic survival stuff. Needed to think, James said. His teeth were still chattering. Work stuff. Life stuff. Must be some serious stuff to risk the mountains in October. You could say that. He watched her work and she could tell he was impressed despite his condition. You do this a lot? More than I'd like. Emily got the bivvy secured and pulled out her camping stove. Okay, get inside. We need to get your core temperature up. She helped him into the shelter, then squeezed in beside him. It was cramped, but that was the point. Body heat was going to be their best friend for the next few hours. The stove came to life and she started melting snow for hot water. When did you last eat? This morning. Had a protein bar around noon. That's not enough fuel for a day like this. She pulled out her emergency rations and handed him a high-calorie bar. Eat this. All of it. While he ate, Emily tried the satellite phone again. This time she got through long enough to report the situation. Help was on standby, but the storm was too severe for a helicopter rescue. They'd come at first light if the weather cleared. So we're stuck here all night? James asked. Looks like it. Emily adjusted the stove to keep the heat going without using too much fuel. But we'll be okay. I've done worse. That's not exactly comforting, Emily laughed. She couldn't help it. Fair enough. But seriously, we've got shelter, heat, food, and water. That's more than a lot of people have in situations like this. We just have to be smart and stay warm. As the hours crept by and darkness fell, the storm outside became a roaring beast. Inside their tiny shelter, though, it was almost peaceful. The stove glowed softly and Emily made them both hot tea from her supplies. So what do you do when you're not rescuing idiots on mountains? James asked. This is what I do. I'm a wilderness EMT and a mountain guide. This is actually my job, seriously. Seriously. I work with the local search and rescue team. We pull people out of trouble all year round. That must be hard work. It is. But it matters. Emily took a sip of her tea. We're always underfunded, always scrambling for equipment and training. But every time we bring someone home safe, it's worth it. James was quiet for a moment. That's pretty amazing. What about you? What kind of work has you hiking alone in a storm? He hesitated. I'm in business. Tech stuff. It's complicated and kind of boring. Try me. We've got all night. So he talked, carefully avoiding details but painting a picture of a life filled with pressure and impossible decisions. Emily listened, occasionally checking his temperature and making sure he was staying alert. Somewhere around midnight, James asked, Do you ever get scared doing this? Every single time, Emily admitted. But that's not a bad thing. Fear keeps you sharp. It keeps you from doing something stupid. Unlike me, you mean. Hey, you're alive. That's what counts. She smiled at him in the dim light. Besides, everyone makes mistakes. The trick is learning from them. Outside, the storm raged on. Inside, two strangers sat together, staying warm, staying alive, and slowly becoming something more than just a rescuer and the person she'd saved. Neither of them knew it yet, but this night was going to change everything. Dawn came slowly, painting the snow-covered rocks in shades of pink and gold. Emily had barely slept, checking on James every hour to make sure he stayed warm and alert. Now, as light filtered through the opening of their shelter, she felt the exhaustion settling into her bones. How's the leg? She asked. James shifted carefully. Still attached. That's something. Can you wiggle your toes? He concentrated for a moment. Yeah. Hurts, but I can move them. Good. Emily crawled out of the shelter into the crisp morning air. The storm had passed, leaving behind a world transformed by fresh snow. The sky was impossibly blue, the kind of blue that made tourists fall in love with the mountains. She pulled out her satellite phone and got through immediately this time. This is Emily Chen. I've got one injured hiker, possible leg fracture, treated for hypothermia overnight. We need evacuation at my last known coordinates. The voice on the other end was familiar. Her friend Diego from the rescue team.
Emily, thank God.
We've been worried sick. Chopper's already warming up. ETA 20 minutes, copy that. We'll be ready. She ducked back into the shelter. Rescue's on the way. 20 minutes. Relief flooded James's face, followed quickly by something else. Sadness, maybe? I guess this is it then. Guess so. Emily started packing up her gear with practiced efficiency. They'll take you to the hospital in Boulder. Get that leg looked at properly. Make sure there's no internal damage. Will you be there? The question caught her off guard. I need to file my incident report, but after that I'll probably head home. I've got another shift tomorrow. Right, of course. James was quiet while she worked. Then, I never got to properly thank you. You saved my life. Just doing my job. It's more than that. You kept me calm, kept me from panicking. Most people would have freaked out in that situation. Emily shrugged. Panicking doesn't help anyone. Besides, I've been in worse spots. I find that hard to believe. 3 years ago, I spent 2 days trapped in a snow cave with a guy who'd broken both legs in a skiing accident. Now that was a long weekend. She smiled at the memory. Compared to that, last night was practically a vacation. The sound of helicopter rotors echoed off the cliff faces. Emily stepped out and waved her arms, marking their position. The chopper circled once, then found a flat spot about 50 yards away to land. The next few minutes were controlled chaos. The rescue team rushed over with a stretcher. Emily gave them a quick rundown of James's condition and her treatment. Someone wrapped her in a blanket even though she insisted she was fine. Emily, you look like death warmed over, Diego said. When's the last time you slept? I'm good. Just get him to the hospital. They loaded James onto the stretcher. He reached out and caught her hand. Thank you, really. Take care of that leg, Emily said. And maybe check the weather forecast next time. He laughed, wincing at the pain it caused. I promise. Then they were loading him into the helicopter and the moment was over. Emily watched the chopper lift off, becoming a small speck against the massive sky. She felt oddly empty. Diego drove her back to the ranger station where she'd left her truck. You did good out there, he said. Although you scared the hell out of us when we lost your signal. Sorry about that. Storm came up fast. They do that, he glanced at her. You want to grab breakfast? You look like you could use some real food. Rain check? I just want to go home and crash. She drove home in a daze, her body finally realizing how tired it really was. Her apartment was small but cozy, filled with climbing gear and rescue equipment. She fell into bed without even taking off her boots. 2 weeks passed. Emily fell back into her routine. Training sessions with the rescue team, a few minor call-outs, nothing serious. Paperwork, always endless paperwork. She thought about James occasionally, wondering if his leg had healed okay, but figured she'd never know. Then Diego called. Emily, you need to get down to the community center. Like now? Why? What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Just trust me. You need to be here. She almost didn't go. She had laundry to do, reports to file, 1,000 other things. But Diego sounded excited, and he wasn't the type to get excited over nothing. The community center parking lot was packed. Emily frowned. What was going on? She pushed through the crowd in the lobby, spotting Diego near the front. What's all this about? She asked. Just watch. A woman in a sharp business suit took the stage. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. We're here today to announce a major grant to support wilderness rescue operations in this county. The Morrison Foundation has generously donated $500,000 to upgrade equipment, provide training, and establish a permanent rescue coordination center. Emily's jaw dropped. $500,000? That was more than their entire budget for the last 5 years combined. And now, the woman continued, I'd like to introduce the founder of the Morrison Foundation, who wanted to personally announce this grant. Please welcome James Morrison. The world tilted sideways. James walked onto the stage, looking nothing like the half-frozen man she'd pulled from between those rocks. He wore a suit that probably cost more than her truck. His hair was professionally styled. He moved with confidence and authority, and he was looking right at her. Their eyes met across the crowded room. She saw recognition, surprise, and something that looked like guilt flash across his face. James Morrison. The James Morrison, the tech billionaire who'd founded 3 different companies before he turned 30. The guy whose face showed up in business magazines and tech blogs. That James, the man she'd spent a freezing night with, sharing emergency rations and bad jokes to stay alive. Emily's face burned. She wanted to disappear. She wanted to understand. She wanted to march up there and demand to know why he hadn't told her who he was. Instead, she stood frozen while he gave his speech about the importance of rescue services and supporting the people who risk their lives for others. The crowd applauded. Cameras flashed. People asked questions, and through it all, James kept glancing at her. When the formal part ended, people swarmed him. Emily tried to slip out, but Diego grabbed her arm. Where are you going? This is huge for us. I just need some air. Emily, wait. But she was already pushing through the crowd, heading for the exit. She made it to the parking lot before she heard footsteps behind her. Emily, please wait. She turned, James was there, slightly out of breath, his tie loosened. "You're James Morrison," she said flatly. "I am. The billionaire. That too." He took a step closer. "I wanted to tell you." "When? When you were half frozen? Or maybe when we were sharing my last protein bar?" Emily shook her head. "I spent 12 hours taking care of you. I told you about my life, my work, everything. And you couldn't tell me your real name? James Morrison is my real name. You know what I mean." He sighed. "You're right. I should have told you. But out there on that mountain, for the first time in years, someone was treating me like a normal person. Do you know how rare that is? Everyone wants something. Everyone has an angle. But you just wanted to keep me alive, like, that's my job." "No, it was more than that. You cared. Really cared. Not because of who I am or what I have, but just because I was a person who needed help." James ran a hand through his hair, messing up the perfect style. "When I got back, I couldn't stop thinking about what you said. About the rescue team being underfunded. About how you're always scrambling for basic equipment while saving lives. So I made some calls. You didn't have to do that, I know. But I wanted to. Not because you saved my life, though. I'll always be grateful for that. But because you were right. This work matters. You matter." Emily felt her anger deflating, replaced by confusion. "The grant. That's real? It's not just because of me? The grant is 100% real and has nothing to do with you saving my life." "Well, maybe 5% to do with it." He smiled slightly. "Okay, maybe 10%. But the rest is because I spent that night listening to you talk about your work with so much passion, so much belief in what you do. That's rare too. That kind of dedication. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. I just wanted you to know the truth. All of it." James shifted his weight and she noticed he was still favoring his injured leg slightly. "How's the leg, by the way?" "Healing. Hairline fracture, just like you thought. Doctor said I was lucky." "You were lucky I found you." "I really was." He looked at her for a long moment. "Listen, I know this is weird. I know the money thing makes everything complicated. But I was wondering if maybe you'd let me buy you dinner. Not as James Morrison, billionaire. Just as James, the guy whose life you saved." Emily wanted to say no. Every logical part of her brain screamed that this was a bad idea. They were from completely different worlds. He probably had a mansion somewhere while she lived in a one-bedroom apartment that smelled like hiking boots. But she remembered the man in the shelter. The one who'd been scared but tried to hide it. The one who'd listened to her talk about her dreams and challenges with genuine interest. One dinner, she heard herself say, but somewhere normal. No fancy restaurants. James's face lit up. "Deal, I know a great burger place downtown." "Billionaires eat burgers?" "This one does." He pulled out his phone. "Can I get your number?" She gave it to him, still not quite believing this was happening. As he walked back toward the community center, Diego appeared at her elbow. "Did that just happen?" he asked. "I have no idea," Emily said. "He seems nice. For a billionaire." "Diego, I spent 12 hours in a snow shelter with him. He's definitely not a typical billionaire." "So you're going out with him?" "One dinner." "That's all?" Diego grinned. "Sure, one dinner." That's exactly how these things always start. Emily pushed him playfully. But as she drove home, she couldn't stop thinking about James's words. About being treated like a normal person. About wanting something real. Maybe this wouldn't be such a terrible idea after all. The burger place turned out to be a hole-in-the-wall joint that made the best fries Emily had ever tasted. James showed up in jeans and a regular jacket, driving himself in a normal car. Well, normal for someone who could probably buy the entire restaurant without noticing the dent in his bank account. "This okay?" he asked as they slid into a booth. "It's perfect," and it was. They talked for 3 hours, long after their food was gone. James told her about starting his first company in his college dorm room. Emily shared stories about rescue missions that went wrong and somehow still turned out right. They laughed. They argued about the best hiking trails. They ordered more fries. It felt easy. Natural, like picking up a conversation they'd started in that snow shelter and never really finished. "So what's it like?" Emily asked. "Being that rich?" James considered the question. "Honestly, lonely. Everyone wants something. A job, an investment, a donation. Even the people who say they don't want anything usually do. It's hard to know who likes you for you." "That sounds awful." "It can be. That's why that night on the mountain meant so much to me. You didn't know. You just saw someone who needed help. And now I do know, Emily pointed out. Does that change things? I don't know, does it? Emily thought about it. I guess we'll find out. That first dinner led to a second, then a third. James started showing up at the rescue station, genuinely interested in learning about their work. He asked questions, took notes, and didn't shy away from the hard parts. This is the coordination room, Diego explained during one visit. When we get a call, this is where everything happens. James examined the outdated equipment, the handwritten maps, the ancient computers. How old is this system? Don't ask, Emily said. It's depressing, but it works. Mostly. Diego pulled up a digital map that moved like molasses. When it doesn't crash. A month into whatever they were doing, James invited Emily to a charity gala. It's for environmental conservation, he explained. I know it's not your scene, but I'd really like you to come. Emily stared at the invitation. Black tie optional. A hotel she'd only seen from the outside. James, I don't have anything to wear to something like this, so we'll go shopping. I don't need you to buy me clothes. I'm not buying you clothes. I'm asking my girlfriend to come to an event with me. If you need something for that event, it's not charity. It's just practical, Emily blinked. Girlfriend? James looked suddenly uncertain. I mean, if you want to be, I probably should have asked properly. I'm kind of terrible at this. Despite everything, Emily laughed. You run 3 companies, but you can't ask someone to be your girlfriend? Apparently not. He smiled sheepishly. So what do you say? I say yes. To both things. But I'm buying my own dress. She did buy her own dress, a simple dark blue one that made her feel only slightly out of place. Walking into that gala on James's arm was surreal. Cameras flashed. People stared. James introduced her to tech founders and investors and politicians, and Emily shook hands and tried to remember names. That's Senator Williams, James murmured at one point. She's trying to get me to fund her next campaign. Are you going to? Probably not. She voted against environmental protections last year. Emily found herself relaxing slightly. These people were just people. Rich, influential people, but still just people. Some were kind. Some were fake. Some genuinely cared about the causes they supported. Others clearly cared more about being seen caring. Who's that? A woman in diamonds asked, not quite quietly enough. She looks so ordinary, her friend leaned in. I heard she's some kind of park ranger or something. Can you imagine? James stiffened beside her, but Emily squeezed his hand. It's fine, she whispered. It's not fine. James, I am ordinary compared to these people. That's not an insult. It's just different. But as the evening wore on, the differences became harder to ignore. People talked about vacation homes and yacht parties. They discussed investments and mergers. When someone asked Emily what she did, and she explained about wilderness rescue, the conversation died awkwardly before they found an excuse to drift away. I'm sorry, James said on the drive home. That was worse than I expected. It's okay, it's not. You were amazing in there and they treated you like you didn't matter. Maybe I don't. Not in their world. Emily looked out the window at the city lights. James, we're from really different places. I know. I'm not sure that's something we can just ignore. He pulled over, which surprised her. They were on a quiet street, trees overhead blocking out most of the light. Emily, look at me. She did. I don't care about those people. I care about you. About how you see the world, about what you care about who you are. James took her hand. But if this is too much, if my life is too much, I need you to tell me. Because the last thing I want is to make you uncomfortable or unhappy. I'm not unhappy. I'm just confused. Emily tried to find the right words. When we're alone, everything makes sense. But out there in your world, I feel like I'm pretending to be someone I'm not. Then we'll spend more time in your world. That's not fair to you. Let me decide what's fair to me. They started finding a balance. James came on training hikes with the rescue team, learning basic wilderness first aid. Emily attended smaller events with him, ones focused on causes rather than status. They had dinner at normal restaurants and went rock climbing on weekends, but the tabloids found them. That was inevitable. Billionaire's mystery woman read one headline with a photo of them leaving a coffee shop. The article speculated about who Emily was, where she came from, whether she was after his money. Don't read that garbage, Diego advised. It'll just make you crazy. But Emily couldn't help it. She read every article, each one making her feel smaller. Some called her a gold digger. Others suggested she was too ordinary for someone like James. A few were kind, but most were vicious. The worst came 3 months in. An article with photos of Emily's apartment, her old truck, her student loan debt. They dug into her background, painting a picture of someone desperate for money who'd found a billionaire to save her. James was furious. "I'm calling my lawyer. This is invasion of privacy." "It's public information," Emily said numbly. "They didn't break any laws. I don't care. This is wrong, but the damage was done." Emily started noticing looks at the grocery store, whispers at the climbing gym. Someone left a comment on the rescue station's social media asking if they were for sale too. She called James that night. "We need to talk." He came to her apartment still in his work clothes. "What's wrong?" "This." She gestured at her laptop, still open to the latest article. "I can't do this, James. I can't have my whole life picked apart for entertainment. I'll fix it. I'll make them stop." "You can't. This is what happens when you date someone like you." Emily felt tears stinging her eyes and hated herself for it. "I help people. That's what I do. That's who I am. But now people are questioning everything. They think I'm using you. They think I'm some opportunist who saw a chance and took it. Anyone who knows you knows that's not true. But most people don't know me. They just know what they read." She took a shaky breath. "My team has to trust me. The people we rescue have to trust me. How can they do that when everyone thinks I'm just after money?" James sat down heavily on her couch. "So what are you saying?" "I'm saying maybe this was a mistake. We got caught up in something intense and we didn't think about the reality of it. I love you." The words hung in the air between them. Emily felt her heart crack. "I love you," James repeated. "I know it's fast and I know this is a mess, but I love who you are. I love how you care about people. I love that you called me out for not checking the weather. I love that you don't care about my money, James. But I also love you enough to let you go if this is really what you want." He stood up, and she could see the pain in his eyes. "I never wanted to make your life harder. I just wanted to be part of it." "I know." They stood there, two people from different worlds who'd found something real and watched it get crushed under the weight of reality. "I should go," James finally said. Emily nodded, not trusting herself to speak. At the door, he turned back. "If you change your mind, if you ever want to try again, I'll be here." Then he was gone, and Emily was alone in her apartment with her old furniture and her student debt and her ordinary life. It was exactly what she'd wanted. So why did it hurt so much? The next few weeks were gray. Emily threw herself into work. Training sessions, equipment checks, a successful rescue of a lost hiker that felt hollow somehow. Diego didn't ask questions, but she could see the concern in his eyes. "You okay?" he finally asked one morning. "I'm fine. You're a terrible liar," Emily managed to smile. "I just need time. He made us better, you know. The foundation grant, yeah, but more than that. He made us think bigger, ask for more. Believe we deserved more, Diego. Just saying. Some people come into your life and change it. Doesn't matter if they're billionaires or bus drivers. What matters is whether you let them." Emily wanted to argue, but she couldn't because Diego was right. James had changed things. Changed her. She'd started dreaming bigger, believing that maybe she could have both the work she loved and someone who understood why she loved it. She just wasn't sure if the cost was worth it. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Turn on the news." Channel 7. Frowning, Emily grabbed the remote. The local news was covering some kind of press conference, and there was James standing at a podium looking tired and serious. "I'm here today to address recent media coverage regarding my personal life," he was saying. "Emily Chen is one of the bravest, most dedicated people I've ever met. She literally saved my life, and in return the media has invaded her privacy and questioned her character based on nothing but speculation and classism." Emily's hand went to her mouth. "I'm announcing today that the Morrison Foundation will be funding a media ethics initiative, focusing on privacy rights and responsible journalism. Additionally, I'm personally donating $1 million to wilderness rescue operations nationwide, in honor of the work Emily and her team do every day." The reporters erupted with questions, but James held up a hand. "One more thing. Emily, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I'm sorry my world intruded on yours. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you from this. But I meant what I said, I'm here if you want me. No pressure. No expectations. Just me hoping you'll give us another chance. The press conference ended. Emily sat frozen on her couch, remote still in hand, heart pounding. Her phone rang. Diego, did you see it? I saw it. So what are you going to do? Emily looked around her small apartment. At the life she'd built, the life that was safe and predictable and entirely her own. Then she thought about a freezing night in a snow shelter. About easy laughter over burgers. About the way James looked at her like she was the most interesting person in any room. I'm going to need a minute to think, she said. But deep down, she already knew the answer. Emily didn't call right away. She needed to think, really think about what she wanted. Not what seemed sensible or safe, but what her heart actually wanted when she stripped away all the noise. She spent the weekend hiking alone, something she rarely did anymore. The mountains had always been where she thought most clearly. At the summit of Bear Peak, looking out over the valley, she finally let herself feel everything she'd been pushing down. She missed him. That was the simple truth. She missed his stupid jokes and the way he listened when she talked about work. She missed how he got excited about rescue techniques and actually read the training manuals she lent him. She missed the way he looked at her like she'd hung the moon. But missing someone wasn't enough. Emily had spent her whole career making hard decisions, assessing risks, figuring out if the reward was worth the danger. This felt the same, except the stakes were her heart instead of her life. Her phone buzzed. A text from her mom. Saw the news. That boy really loves you. What are you going to do about it? Emily smiled. Her mom always cutting to the chase. On Monday morning, she walked into the rescue station to find Diego and the rest of the team watching something on the computer. What's going on? Diego looked up. The Morrison Foundation announcement. You need to see this. He pulled up a website. The foundation had posted a detailed plan for their wilderness rescue initiative. It wasn't just about money. They were developing better equipment, creating training programs, building partnerships with local rescue teams across the country, and they wanted input from actual rescue workers, not just executives in boardrooms. There's more, Diego said. He clicked to another page. They're hiring a director for the program, someone with real field experience to oversee everything and make sure it actually helps people. Emily scanned the job description. It was perfect. Everything she'd dreamed about doing if she had the resources. Building systems that worked. Training people properly. Making sure every rescue team had what they needed. You should apply, Diego said. I can't. Why not? You're perfect for it. Because it's James's foundation. It would be weird, would it? Or are you just scared? Emily wanted to argue, but Diego was right. She was scared. Scared of wanting something this much. Scared of mixing her personal and professional life. Scared of what people would say. Just think about it, Diego said. At least talk to him. She carried the thought with her all day. During training, during equipment checks, during the quiet moments when her mind wandered. By evening, she'd made a decision. She texted James. Can we talk? His response was immediate. Anytime, anywhere? The coffee shop on Main? Tomorrow morning? I'll be there. Emily barely slept that night. She changed her outfit 3 times, which was ridiculous. This was James. The same guy who'd eaten emergency rations without complaining and made jokes while possibly freezing to death. He was already at the coffee shop when she arrived, sitting in a back corner booth. He looked tired, thinner than she remembered. When he saw her, relief flooded his face. Hi, she said, sliding into the booth. Hi. They sat there for a moment, just looking at each other. Emily felt all her carefully prepared words evaporate. I saw your press conference, she finally said. I probably should have talked to you first, but I was angry, and I needed people to know the truth about you. The Media Ethics Initiative. That's really happening? Already in development. I can't change what happened to you, but maybe I can make sure it doesn't happen to other people. James wrapped his hands around his coffee cup. I'm sorry, Emily, for all of it. I knew my world could be harsh, but I didn't realize how harsh until I saw what it did to you. It's not your fault, isn't it? I pursued you knowing what might happen. Emily shook her head. I made my own choices. I chose to go out with you. I chose to keep seeing you. I chose to let myself fall for you. She took a breath, and then I chose to walk away because I was scared. You had good reasons to be scared. Maybe. But I also think I gave up too easily. She reached across the table and took his hand. I love you too. I've been trying not to because it seemed complicated and messy, but I do. I love that you actually care about making a difference. I love that you're not afraid to look stupid learning new things. I love that you remembered everything I told you that night and turned it into something that could help people. James's eyes were suspiciously bright. So what does that mean? It means I want to try again, but differently this time. We need boundaries. We need to figure out how to blend our lives without one of us disappearing into the other's world. I can do that, whatever you need. And I need you to understand that my work comes first. If we're in the middle of dinner and I get called for a rescue, I'm gone. I know. I wouldn't want you any other way. They talked for hours working through the details, setting ground rules, being honest about fears and expectations. It wasn't romantic or easy. It was hard work, the kind of work that relationships actually need. There's something else, Emily said. The director position. For the rescue initiative, you saw that? Diego showed me. It's an amazing opportunity. Then you should apply, James said immediately. But it's your foundation. So, you're qualified. More than qualified. You practically designed half the program when you were telling me about what rescue teams actually need. He squeezed her hand. I won't be on the hiring committee. That would be inappropriate. But the foundation needs someone who knows this work inside and out. If that's you, then you should apply. People will say I only got it because of you. People will say lots of things, but you and I will know the truth, and so will everyone you work with. James looked at her seriously. Don't let fear of what people think stop you from doing something you'd be amazing at. Over the next few weeks, they slowly rebuilt what they'd had. But it was stronger this time. More intentional. Emily applied for the director position and went through the same rigorous interview process as everyone else. James kept his word and stayed completely out of it. She got the job. They called, she told James, barely containing her excitement. They said I had the best understanding of field operations and the clearest vision for implementation. That's amazing. I'm so proud of you. They also said the deciding factor was my presentation on interagency coordination, the one I stayed up all night preparing. See? You earned this. But not everyone saw it that way. The tabloids had a field day. Billionaire's girlfriend gets cushy foundation job, one headline screamed. Online commenters were vicious. Even some people in the rescue community questioned whether she deserved it. Diego found her in her office one day, staring at her computer screen with tears in her eyes. Hey, he said gently. What's wrong? Look at this. She turned the screen toward him. They're saying I'm not qualified. That I'm just James's girlfriend playing at having a career. Diego read the comments, his expression darkening. That's garbage, is it? Maybe they're right. Maybe I am in over my head. Emily Chen, I have watched you coordinate rescues in conditions that would make grown men cry. I've seen you carry 100 pounds of gear up a mountain and still have energy to treat patients. You've saved more lives than most people will ever touch. Diego pulled up a chair. You know what the difference is between you and these keyboard warriors? You actually do the work. They just talk about it. But what if I fail? Then you'll learn and try again. That's what you've always done. He smiled. Besides, you've got a whole community of rescue workers who are excited about this. Real people doing real work who think you're going to make a real difference. Focus on them, he was right. When Emily started reaching out to rescue teams across the country, she found overwhelming support. People who'd been doing this work for decades, excited to finally have someone listening who understood their challenges. Her first major project was developing a standardized training program that could be adapted to different regions. She worked with teams in the Rockies, the Appalachians, the Pacific Northwest. She listened to their needs, their frustrations, their innovative solutions to common problems. James watched her thrive with obvious pride, but he kept his distance from the work itself, letting it be entirely hers. Don't you want to be involved? She asked one evening. They were at his place, a surprisingly normal house in the foothills. It's your foundation. It's not about me, James said. It never was. I just provided resources. You're doing the actual work. Things were good. Better than good. They'd found a rhythm that worked. Emily kept her apartment because she needed her own space. They split time between his house and hers. They went climbing on weekends and had quiet dinners during the week. But Emily noticed something. At events, at meetings, even at casual gatherings, people treated her differently. Some with obvious disdain. Others with fake friendliness that felt worse. A few with genuine warmth, but they were rare. The worst was a charity dinner for environmental conservation. Emily had agreed to go because the cause mattered to her. But from the moment they arrived, she felt eyes on her. Judgment. Speculation. A woman in designer everything cornered her at the bar. "So you're the famous Emily, James's little rescue worker." "I'm a wilderness EMT and the director of rescue operations for the Morrison Foundation," Emily said evenly. "Oh, how lovely. You must be so grateful to James for the opportunity." "I'm grateful for a lot of things, but I earned my position." The woman's smile was pure poison. "Of course you did, dear." Emily excused herself and found James. "I need some air." Outside, she paced the patio, trying to calm down. James followed. "What happened?" "Nothing, everything, I don't know." Emily turned to him. "How do you stand it? The constant judgment. The fake people. The ones who are nice to your face and vicious behind your back." "I mostly ignore them." "I can't. Every time someone implies I'm using you, or that I didn't earn what I have, it makes me want to scream." James pulled her close. "I know, I'm sorry. Stop apologizing. This isn't your fault." Emily rested her head on his chest. "I just wish people could see that I was doing this work long before I met you. That I care about it because it matters, not because it's connected to you. The people who matter know that. But the ones who don't are so loud." They stood there in the cool evening air, and Emily realized something. This was always going to be her reality if she stayed with James. There would always be people who questioned her motives, her abilities, her worth. She could spend her whole life proving herself and never satisfy everyone. The question was whether she could live with that. Whether James was worth it. Whether what they had together was stronger than other people's. "Opinions, I'm not going back in there," she said suddenly. "Okay, we can leave." "No, I mean, I'm not going back to pretending I'm comfortable in that world. I'm not. I probably never will be." Emily pulled back to look at him. "But I don't want to lose you either. So we need to figure out a different way." "What kind of way?" "One where I don't have to go to fancy parties unless I actually want to. Where you come to my world more than I go to yours. Where we build something that's ours, not yours or mine." James considered this. "I can do that. Most of those events are obligation anyway. I'd rather be rock climbing with you." "Really?" "Really. Emily, you saved my life. Then you saved it again by showing me there's more to living than business deals and charity galas. If I have to choose between that world and you, I choose you every time." It wasn't perfect. It wasn't a fairy tale. But it was real. And sometimes real was better than perfect. They left the party early, stopped for fast food on the way home, sat in his living room eating burgers and planning their next climbing trip. It was ordinary and wonderful and exactly what Emily needed. Later, as she was getting ready to go back to her place, James stopped her. "Move in with me." Emily blinked. "What? Not here. This place is too much mine. But let's find somewhere that's ours, something that fits both of us." "James, that's a huge step." "I know, and if you're not ready, that's okay. But I'm ready. I want to build a life with you. A real life, not just dinners and weekends." Emily thought about her small apartment, about the life she'd built there. It had been enough for so long. But now, looking at James, she realized she wanted more, wanted to wake up next to him, wanted to share the ordinary moments, not just the special ones. "Okay," she said, "let's do it. But I get to help pick the place. And it better be close to the mountains." Deal. They were learning, both of them, how to be together without losing themselves, how to navigate two very different worlds, how to build something new that belonged to both of them. It wasn't always easy, but the best things never were. 3 months later, Emily stood in the living room of their new house surrounded by moving boxes. It was perfect. Not too big, not too small. Close enough to the mountains that she could be on a trail in 15 minutes. Far enough from the city that they had privacy. James came in carrying another box. "This is the last one from your place. Where do you want it?" "Bedroom, I think. It's mostly clothes." He set it down and wrapped his arms around her from behind. "Happy?" "Very," and she was. The house felt like theirs. They'd picked it together, decorated it together, filled it with pieces from both their lives. Her climbing gear hung next to his expensive artwork. His tech gadgets shared space with her rescue manuals. Work was going well, too. The rescue initiative was expanding faster than anyone expected. Emily had teams in 12 states now, all using the new training protocols she'd developed. The feedback was overwhelmingly positive. People were saving more lives because they had better equipment and better training, but she never forgot where it started. Every time she looked at the program, she remembered that freezing night with James. How his questions had made her think deeper about what rescue teams really needed. How his resources had turned her dreams into reality. "I've got something for you," James said one evening. He handed her an envelope. Inside was a certificate. "Wilderness First Responder Certification? I finished the course last week. Passed with flying colors, thank you very much." He grinned. "I figured if I'm going to keep hanging around rescue people, I should actually be useful." Emily threw her arms around him. "You are such a nerd. Your nerd." "My nerd," she agreed. Things weren't perfect. They still got looks when they went out together. The tabloids still ran stories, though less frequently now that Emily refused to engage with them. Some of James's business associates still treated her like an accessory. Some people in the rescue community still questioned whether she deserved her position, but Emily had learned to let it roll off her. She had work she loved, a man she loved, and friends who knew her worth. That was enough. Then, on a cold November morning, everything changed again. Emily's phone rang at 5 in the morning. She grabbed it, instantly awake. Emergency calls always came at the worst times. Emily Chen. "Emily, it's dispatch. We've got a bad one. Family of 4 trapped in an avalanche zone. The weather's closing in fast." Emily was already out of bed, pulling on clothes. "I'm on my way." James sat up. "What's happening?" "Avalanche rescue. Family trapped. I don't know how long I'll be gone. Be careful." She kissed him quickly. "Always am." The situation was worse than she'd thought. A family had gone on what should have been an easy hike, but got caught in an unexpected early-season avalanche. 2 adults and 2 kids buried somewhere under tons of snow. The window to find them alive was closing fast. Emily coordinated the teams, directing searchers, managing resources. The new equipment her program had funded was making a difference. Better radios, better avalanche beacons, better training, but it still might not be enough. 2 hours in, they found the father, barely alive but alive. EMTs rushed him to the helicopter. 1 down, 3 to go. The weather was getting worse. Emily knew they were running out of time. The temperature was dropping. Even if they found the others, hypothermia might have already done too much damage. "We need more equipment," she called into her radio. "The old shovels aren't cutting it in this density." "Emily, we're at capacity," dispatch responded. "We've got every available resource on site." She was about to argue when she heard the sound of a helicopter. Not medical transport, something else. It landed 50 yards away, and people started unloading equipment, state-of-the-art avalanche gear, extra medics, fresh crews, and James, dressed in full rescue gear, talking with one of the pilots. Emily's heart stopped. "What is he doing here?" Diego appeared at her elbow. He called in every favor he had. "That helicopter, that equipment, those medics, all him." James saw her and jogged over. "Before you yell at me, I'm not here to get in the way. I'm here to help. I'm certified now, remember?" "Put me to work," Emily wanted to argue. Wanted to tell him this was too dangerous, that he should go home. But they needed every able body they had, and more than that, she trusted him. "Sector 3, she said. "Work with Diego's team. Follow their lead exactly." "Yes, ma'am." For the next 3 hours, Emily directed the most complex rescue of her career. James worked alongside the other volunteers, digging, searching, never complaining. She'd glance over occasionally and see him covered in snow, exhausted but determined. They found the mother next, unconscious but breathing, then the older child, a girl maybe 10 years old. Both were rushed to medical care, but the youngest, a boy around 6, was still missing. Time was running out. Emily knew the statistics, knew that with each passing minute the chances dropped. "Keep searching," she ordered, even though she could see the doubt in people's eyes. James was in the thick of it, his team methodically working through their sector. Then he stopped, held up his hand. "Wait, I've got something." Everyone froze. He adjusted his avalanche beacon, moving slowly. "Here, right here." The team descended on the spot, digging carefully but quickly. Emily held her breath. "Please let him be alive, please." They found him. The boy was unconscious, lips blue, not breathing. Emily was there in seconds, starting CPR while medics prepared equipment. 1 breath. 2 breaths, compressions, again. Come on, kid. Come on. The boy coughed, gasped, started breathing. The relief was overwhelming.